Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
All right. Welcome to the Gridiron, baby. If you can give this video a thumbs up or maybe share this video, that would be absolutely freaking phenomenal. If you subscribe to my channel, thank you. If not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way next time I go live or if I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. It's totally free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. If you want to help support my channel, description box below, very top link. Oh, Vinny G-Man's in the house, buddy. What's up, pal? If you want to help support my channel out, very top link in the description box. It takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. Each one has their own little perks to them. So once again, if you want to help support my channel, it would mean so much to me, and I thank you in advance. And then finally, just underneath that, there's another link takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. We have over 9,600 members in the group. It is doing simply marvelous, might I add. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing and if I got internet access, I'm putting stuff in this group darn near 365. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Please join it. You will not be dissatisfied. I promise. All right. Well, got a lot of stuff to talk about here. Cool. I love it. This one I seen. This one, this one's kind of, boy, I tell you, they come up with some out of this world stuff for like morons like me to read and talk about it and all and everything. But I'll tell you, it would surely get some of the Giants, I don't know, some of the fan base pretty pumped up. Actually, somehow, if we were actually to get Hunter and Sanders, I mean, it's like I'm like, how are they going to wind up doing something like that? But now it doesn't necessarily have to be the team that they're talking about in this article here. It certainly could be another team a little farther down, and it's possible. But in this article, all right, they got the Giants actually. I mean, this is just stone cold crazy. I ain't never seen nothing like this before. They got the Giants picking, I think, 3 and 4 in this article. Come on, that's just to be stone cold crazy. Where are we at here? Okay, let me get rid of this here. This is article here. I mean, it's possible, but I don't think they have to trade with I do believe it's the Patriots here. Giants trade idea to reunite Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders has fans all fired up. I mean, the Giants would get themselves another cornerback / another weapon, wide receiver, and quite possibly their quarterback of the future. So, I mean, they would really be able to solidify their cornerback position, get another weapon for whoever the quarterback is this year and going forward, and quite possibly get their quarterback of the future for hopefully 10 years. So this would be a real nice thing. But once again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what the Lucky Charms leprechaun thinks. Doesn't matter what Santa Claus thinks. Doesn't matter what Mel Kiper Jr. thinks. Doesn't matter. Matters what the guys think in the Giants front office. Shane and Dable, matters what they think, right? And they know. Dable's got a pretty good idea, right? Of what it might take to be a pretty good quarterback in this league. He's got an idea, right? He's had some success with that, right? So it matters. All depends upon what they think. I mean, if they think that Shedeur is that good, I mean, they may not pass on him at 3. Right? They might pull the trigger. Who knows? Hunter may not be there at 3. Right? We might, unfortunately, we might get stuck with Carter. Oh, bummer dude at 3. Who knows? We're also going to talk about a little later in our program here a scenario where the Giants trade back. And a couple of the players that might be there for the Giants if they trade back. So we'll see. But now, of course, it depends upon how far they trade back, too. Right? But this one here, so it says the Giants could make a huge splash and pursue a Travis Hunter-Shedeur Sanders reunion in the NFL draft. It's an idea that has been floating around on social media in recent days, involving the Giants using their number 3 pick in the April, obviously in the draft, on one of former Colorado star, and then trading up to number 4 with the new back to number 4, picking number 3 and going number 4 with New England Patriots to take the other. Now they would have to take, if this was the scenario, right? I mean, once again, this is not going to happen. But if it was, the Giants would have to pick Hunter at 3, which would leave Shedeur Sanders at number 4. Because if the Giants took Sanders at number 3, that would leave Travis Hunter at number 4, and the Patriots might be salivating all over him. Patriots don't need Sanders. They got themselves a quarterback, right? That's why the Giants have to take Hunter and leave the quarterback for the Patriots, right? But I mean, this is, it's an idea that's been floating around, right? So on one account on Twitter, even shared a specific trade proposal. Now, once again, don't know if this would happen. I don't know if it would ever happen. I don't think it's ever happened. So, but anything's possible. In the deal, the Giants would send the number 34 pick, right? Their second round pick, along with the first and second round picks next season, and a second round pick in 2027 for the Patriots number 4 selection this year. So basically, let's see, the Giants will be trading the first and 3 seconds. Let's see. See the things you don't know. What you don't know, right, is where the Giants are going to be picking at. It might have to be some type of a one of those. We'll have to wait and see where the Giants are picking at, kind of things. Draft board. Well, here we go. Now the Giants, right? The Patriots, according to this right here. Let's let me share my screen and we'll go to this here. All right, where are we at? Share video. Nope. Share screen. Here we go. Trade value chart. Okay, here we go. So let's look at this here. Right. So now, right here, we got the Patriots. They're pick number 4. See, there's a nice drop off. The first, second, and third, you'll notice is a drop off of 400 to the next one. Tennessee's pick, according to the draft, this chart, that's all you're going by, right? Is worth 3,000. The Browns pick goes down 400 down to 2,600. The Giants pick goes down another 400 down to 2,200. Then the New England goes down another 4 to 18. Then it stops there, and everything goes down 100, right? For a while. It goes from 18 to 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 50, 13, 12, 50, 12, right? So the New England pick is worth 1,800 points. The Giants right here, their second round pick is worth 560. So just say it's rounded off because I'm an idiot. I'm horrible at math and all that stuff. Say it's worth 500 points, right? So the Giants would still owe New England another 1,300 points. Now, you don't know where the Giants are going to be drafting at their second round pick next season. Where's their second round pick in 2027? That you don't know. But chances are their first round pick next season is probably going to be worth at least 1,000 points. You figure if the Giants are drafting in the middle, just say some miracle of God, and the Giants actually have an 8-9 record or something like that. Say they're drafting like in the middle, like 16 or 17, right? 16, right? Right? Say 16. Say the Giants are drafting right in the middle next season. Well, their pick next season would be worth 1,000 points. Well, after they traded away their second round pick here, they still owe the Patriots 1,300. So you can see where the Patriots, would have to think about this. I mean, if the Giants are going to trade away, just say 1,000 points next season for the first, right? They would only owe New England will be getting on the shafted for 300 points. So the Giants are going to give another second round pick next year. And if that's in the middle here, that's worth about 400, right? So if you look at it, the Giants' second round pick this season, their first next year, and their second next year, chances are New England would already be in a surplus. Then if the Giants said, you know what, we'll give you our second pick in 2027, chances are that's worth hundreds of points as well, too. So New England, quite possibly, who's trying to rebuild a roster, that's something to think about. Because there's a good chance the Giants would be giving them certainly a surplus of points, according to this draft chart. That's all we're going by here, right? But I mean, I honestly, I can't remember every draft. I can't remember, this. But I mean, I actually have a team picking that early in the draft. And then that same team jump back into the first round and take the pick right after that. I was heard that they will draft Hunter at 4 and Sanders could drop. And well, that's another thing that's what I'm going to talk about. Another thing I'm going to talk about here, later in the program. It's probably going to be about an hour or so from now once I get talking. But see, the Giants jumping back in, what's it going to cost them? Because, I mean, Sanders could certainly fall. It doesn't mean, if the Giants pass on him, right? I mean, the Patriots don't need him. Where are we at here? Right? Patriots don't need him. Jacksonville, the Raiders could use him. Now, would they take Sanders with pick number 6? Is he that valuable? Is he, don't know. You're not sure what the Jets are going to do. They just brought Fields in. Would they want to draft another quarterback? They got Fields. Would they want to draft another quarterback? Don't know. So obviously, then you got Nolans. They need a quarterback at number 9. Of course, you got Pittsburgh at 21. They need a quarterback. So you're going to have to wait and see. But I mean, as I said, I've never seen this kind of scenario before. It's certainly something interesting to talk about and all, but I can never, I don't think it's going to wind up happening. But what that would take the Heisman Trophy winner at number 3 and the possible face of their franchise quarterback Sanders at number 4. Crazy. Patriots fans quickly jumped in the replies, allowing full permission for the Giants to give them that haul. They would give up pick number 4, okay, and they would get themselves 3 seconds and a first next season. I mean, the Patriots they're not going to the Super Bowl. Newsflash this season, right? They need players. If you can give up 1 and get 4 in return, that wouldn't be bad. I mean, that might be something to think about. But the Giants better be all got to be all in on this one here. You're going to give up that much of a haul to get Shedeur Sanders. He better be the quarterback in the future. Giants fans conversely trashed on Sanders and wanted nothing to do with the deal. It's a fun premise for sure. It brings maybe the 2 most popular names in this year's draft to the Big Apple, and they'd have built-in chemistry. That is true. Sanders would be in a good spot, getting to learn from Russell Wilson for a season. Hunter would be under constant scrutiny in his pursuit of a career as a 2-way player, but he'd also be on a team without high expectations, which will allow a bit of experimentation with his unprecedented possibilities. The exact picks returned to New England could be debated, but the idea is certainly a cool one. It's one of those things you kind of talk about. It's all kind of cool, fun, and fancy and all and everything, but you don't know. I mean, I said, they'd have to be, Shane and Dave will have to be all in on Sanders to wind up doing something like that. Because if per se the Giant, they'd have to be all in, because if Shane and Dave will make it out of this season, right, they've just traded away their first and second round picks next season, and then their second round pick in 2027. So, I mean, so they better be right. Big Sanders at 3? No. I'm on the fence. Nah, Shane is to do something crazy. His job is on the line. Well, they don't, if they do, they better be, I mean, of course they can be wrong, but their gut feeling inside, it's like, this guy, we really think that this guy, I mean, other than that now, what would really, see, the thing is, what they need this season for Shane and Dable to be around next season is they need some wins, right? They don't need a quarterback that's going to help them in 2 years from now. They need wins right now, or they're not going to be around next season. They're not going to see the fruits of their labor. So they need a star, right? And if Cam Ward, were to go number one, I mean, the Giants are guaranteed to either get Hunter or Carter. I mean, to me, that's like a no-brainer. Whoever's left over, you just, you wait for the Browns. The problem, with the dilemma would be, right, of course, is if the Browns were to take Sanders at 2, then you're like, oh, do we want Hunter or do we want Carter? Ooh, that would be the dilemma. But I mean, the Giants, they need a star, somebody that they can just wind up and throw them on the field, and we'll see at the end of the season, pal. Just stay healthy. That's all we want, right? They need somebody who can help them win. They need a star, and Carter is a star, and Hunter's a star. They one of those two guys. And the thing is with Hunter. Right. I mean, you put him on the field. I mean, man, you get him and Wandale. You got Slayton, right? But you got Malik Neighbors. That's a nice 4 wide receivers right there. Or if something were to go on the cornerback side, now you got your 3 cornerbacks, no matter what. Right. I mean, if Banks goes staying or whatever, right? Now you got Hunter, you got a Debo. And you got Phillips. So, you got your cornerbacks, you got your safety, so they need somebody who can help them this year. And that's not going to be Sanders, so it'd be interesting to see. I mean, sometimes you think somebody's going to get taken at this spot or that spot or whatever. And then the quarterback just gets passed over by a few teams, and they'll have to wait and see. Yeah. But certainly something interesting is I don't see that happening where the Giants get picked 3 and 4 in the draft, but certainly something to talk about. All right, now we got 3 Giants poised for a breakout year. Now, in this article here, I saw there was 3, but there's other ones. I can certainly see Theo, if he can stay healthy. He's not one of the in this article here, but I can certainly see. Because you remember last year, I think in the first 4 games last year, Theo Johnson had 3 receptions after 4 games. And I'm kind of like, do we have tight ends? What's going on, right? But toward the end, just before he got injured, he was catching 3, 4, 5 balls a game, right? So he was right? So hopefully, another year in the, maybe with some better quarterback play, right? But another year in the system, he becomes a little more familiar with the system. Especially the other thing too, right, is the more stars you get out there, right? It starts opening stuff up. Like, man, like I'm saying, like if you grab Hunter and you put him over here, right, and you got Malik Neighbors and you put him over there. Well, it's like when the Giants had Saquon, right? You could put a wide receiver over here and over there, whatever, but their eyes were always in the backfield. What's going on with that? Because you screw up with Saquon, he's taking it to the house. You got it, So the more stars you got on the field, right, that starts opening stuff up. You got the safety. Oh crap, Hunter's over here. Got to check Malik over there. Right. So that might open things up for like Theo Johnson or something. So, but in this article here, it has 3 Giants poised for a breakout season in 2025. Amid all the talent on their roster, these 3 Giant players are bound to take the next step towards impacting the team at a higher level next season. We'll see. Giants' 2024 season came nowhere close to anybody's even mild expectations for the franchise celebrating its centennial anniversary. But that did mean a historically awful campaign didn't reveal some promising pieces for the roster to build upon. While the Giants lost all hope for the season, given their inept play at the quarterback position and the injuries that had piled up quickly, A star was to be found in the performances of a few critical players in the locker room who ascended early to offer some credence to the work of general manager Joe Schoen and head coach Brian Daboll. On the other hand, some players struggled to cement their roles on the team or fell deeper into the pit of uncertainty about whether they'd remain with the Giants organization long-term or become a future roster casualty. Entering this offseason, Shane had been tasked with strongly revamping the team's roster with either veteran talent that can upgrade the positions or depth that can take over in the event of the relentless ailments returning next season. Yep. I mean, it's one thing with the Giants, you get freaking injuries. He's done a pretty good job of that so far, and depending on how certain pieces pan out, will likely continue his search during the season. As the Giants head into their current regime, it's treating as a make or break season in 2025. These same members of both sides of the fence will have the challenge of replicating their efforts to help the team reach higher peaks or picking up the slack they want to remain a face in New York for years to come. So, the first guy they got here, whether they already have shown the ability to do it or must come up with it, let's dive deeper into the three Giant players poised for a breakout next fall. Well, one of them is Tyler Nubin. Unfortunately, he was one of the ones that got injured, right? But he was having himself a fine campaign. I think he was leading the team in tackles, right? And now we got Holland back there too. So I think we got ourselves two fine safeties. Among the few hits that Joe Schoen seemingly made in the 2024 draft class, one of the early discoveries of success was his second-round selection of safety Tyler Nubin. Giants tabbed the Minnesota product in last April's draft after the front office didn't bring back veteran Xavier McKinney to maintain his starting role in the defensive secondary. Instead, they let him run off to a larger bag in Green Bay and pursued one of the highest-rated safety prospects in the 2024 class in Nubin to set the foundation of their position group. Despite his inexperience at the NFL level, Nubin almost fit perfectly into the same role that McKinney held for 4 seasons with the Giants. He quickly rose to become one of the Ironman producers for Shane Bowen's defense. He finished second on the team with 98 tackles. Now, he might have led the team in tackles had he not missed the final, 4 or 5 games. He had 98 tackles, 57 solo. 4 tackles were for loss, 1 pass deflection, and a forced fumble with recovery. Nubin was practically pacing the Giants in tackles for 2 separate 3-week spans. He notched 9 from weeks 5 through 7, and then beat that out by securing 12 in the same span of contests against the Panthers, the Buccaneers, and the Cowboys in the middle of the season. The only thing that stopped the 23-year-old from crossing the 100-tackle threshold and finishing as the Giants' head honcho defensively in his rookie season, right, was a season-ending ankle injury he suffered in Week 14 against the Saints. Okay, Week 4. So he missed the final few games, but he would have had well over 100 tackles. Otherwise, Nubin was a shining player for the Giants and showed he has the intangibles to make it hard for the opposing offense to get past the back line of defense. Against the run, Nubin was an excellent defender who paid no mind to leaving Pinnock up top and entering the box to offer an extra body to trip up the ball carrier. He held a low 7.8 missed tackle rate, which is, especially for the Giants, that's pretty damn good. And those extended into coverage where he allowed no more than 2 mishaps in either zone or press man looks. If Nubin returns healthy this summer, he will repeat those numbers in a Giants system that fits his skill set and with an aggressive mentality in pursuing the football and limiting yardage after the catch. He finished in top rookie safeties with under 300 yards of offense allowed, including 48 yards after the catch and 0 touchdowns. That's pretty damn impressive, especially for a rookie. You will also have a great mentor to continue learning from alongside new free agent addition, Javon Holland. Absolutely. One of the league's best defensive ball hawks last year for the Dolphins. And both those guys are young. The secondary is young. Oh, my goodness. And if you grab Hunter and throw him in there in the mix still, woo, nice. Very, very nice. Giants should be in good hands with the duo serving as the eyes for the entire defense to avoid getting torched through the air again. Now, the next one I have here is Tyrone Tracy. Now, Tracy, unfortunately for Tracy, he in the beginning of the season he wasn't the starter, right? That was Motor Singletary, and unfortunately, in the beginning of the season, that's when the Giants had their I don't want to call them the Fab Five, right? Where we had Thomas, we had Runyon Jr., John Michael Schmitz, right? GVR and Illuminor were healthy for the first 4 or 5 games or so. That's when Motor Singletary was pretty much the starter. After that, that's when Thomas got injured, and we had all the 10 different offensive line combinations out there, and that's when Tracy started becoming the head honcho as far as the running back. So he didn't get to experience, right, the Fab, if you want to call them, the Fab Five, the starting 5. Because the first 5 games or so, the Giants did not do too bad. According to PFF, and if you do look at the tape, especially Andrew Thomas, he struggled against Myles Garrett. Anybody who struggled against him. The Giants' passing, pass block was not very good against the Browns. But, for the most part, it wasn't too bad the first 4 or 5 games or so. As I said, then once Thomas got injured and all that, then the wheels started falling off the train and everything. But Tracy, not being the starter for the first, 4 or 5 weeks, still wound up with over 1,000 total yards. We're behind a patchwork offensive line. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. And, is he Saquon Barkley? Hell no, right? But he's got the receiver mentality as well, too. So he's got a little bit of both. And let's not forget, he had a couple long runs in there, too. So he can give him a hole. He can take it to the house, right? So he's one of the ones that they brought up in this article. When the Giants ultimately lost Saquon in free agency, joining the biggest divisional rival, the Eagles, the team's backfield looked like it would be in shambles ahead of this 2024 season. Joe Shane's first move was to sign Devin Singletary, a familiar veteran from his and Brian Dable's Buffalo days. Then it took a flyer on a former wide receiver / running back named Tyrone Tracy Jr. out of Purdue to pair with Singletary for the rushing attack. Little did the general manager realize this selection would become arguably one of the best steals in the entire draft. Of that draft class, I'm sorry. Tracy would lead the Giants in rushing production and form a promising young tandem with fellow draftee and first-round wide receiver Malik Neighbors. Neighbors led the Giants in any offensive yard metric with 1,204 yards and 7 touchdowns, joined forces with Tracy to become the NFL's first rookie duo to surpass 1,000 yards each from the line of scrimmage since Marcus Colston and Reggie Bush did it for the Saints in 2006. For Tracy, half of the bargain, he carried the pigskin 192 times, 839 yards, 4.4-yard average. That ain't bad. Put Tracy, right, behind the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. He's averaging 5 yards a carry. Okay. So he had 4.4 yards average per carry, 5 touchdowns with an average of 49.4 yards per contest. His dual threat background as a collegiate pass catcher enabled him to add another 38 catches on 53 targets for 284 yards and a touchdown. Short of the great Bucky Irvin over in Tampa Bay, the Giants certainly got more value from a day 3 prospect than expected. Per PFF's data, Tracy finished second among rookie running backs in attempts, rushing yardage, touchdowns, yards after catch, and missed tackles forced. He forced 34 missed tackles. With his ability to shed tacklers and fight for extra yardage, Tracy gave the Giants 18 runs of 10-plus yards, 10 of 15-plus yards, and 286 breakaway yards, meaning he has the chance to hit home runs if he gets the right holes open up for him on the offensive line. Giants are hoping to revamp their offensive front this offseason, and adding guys like James Hudson III, a swing tackle, and retaining a few others in free agency should help. So, once again, is he going to be the greatest running back of all? No. But, he's good at catching the ball, and, if we can give him some holes, the man can produce. We've seen that. right? I mean, behind that offensive line, right? He didn't start the whole season. You can possibly think, I mean, if he actually started the first, 4 or 5 games, who knows? Maybe he has 1,000 yards rushing. That would be crazy, right? I would like to see the Giants add another running back in this draft. I'm not sure what they think of Gray. You know what I'm saying? If they got Tracy, where they got him right in the 5th round, I think they could certainly pick up another running back in this draft. All right, then we got then the other one they're talking about here, poised for a breakout season. Well, John Michael Schmitz. I like to see. I hope the guy gets a little bit stronger, but the story with the Giants starting center John Michael Schmitz differs slightly from the first 2 players. This time, the 2023 second-round pick has to prove himself and put together a more solid resume in his 3rd season protecting quarterback. Schmitz, the 57 overall pick in the draft, has struggled to become the anchor of the Giants' offensive line since he took over 2 years ago. Much of this has come from injuries that have had him miss as many as 4 games in the last 2 seasons, stunting his ability to gain quality reps and gel with the same set of teammates up front. In over 1,130 pass blocking snaps that span Schmitz hasn't graded above a 50.2 PFF mark. Whew. Has almost been a turnstile for stronger, more experienced pass rushers. He needs to add some strength, that's for sure. That is translated in the 26-year-old allowing 11 sacks and 58 total pressures with a sub-97 pass blocking efficiency rating, which dips below 95.5 in true pressure sets. 15 games played this past fall. Schmitz played in a career-high 646 pass blocking snaps and finished with a 50.2 pass blocking grade, allowing 6 sacks and 28 total pressures. I mean, 50.2 is, if you're a second-round pick, he saw 337 snaps and earned a slightly better 67 grade, but he was penalized 5 times, which didn't help the Giants set the tone in the trenches and often put them back into difficult long yardage situations. What also doesn't help Schmidt's case is that he is slightly undersized for a starting caliber offensive lineman. 6'3", 310 pounds. I mean, 6'3" is not that bad. I mean, but when you're 310 and you're going up against sometimes, obviously, like a sexy Dexy, somebody's 340, 350, whatever, makes it difficult. You don't have to be. I mean, right? Yeah, you don't have to be huge, right? Because Jason Kelsey, not big at all. But if you're good with angles and all that stuff and everything, you can be effective without being big, right? But not everybody's a Kelsey, right? But I mean, I think Schmitz, if he keeps continuing to get a little bit stronger, hopefully he'll get better. But really for a second round pick, especially a center, kind of hoping he'd be a little bit better. However, the Giants have done what they can to surround the youngest piece of their starting unit with veterans who can help pick up the slack when pass rush schemes and double teams are thrown into the mix and mentor him. The rest is up to Schmitz to step up, take what he has learned from his 2 seasons under center and translate it into more efficient and tougher protection for the Giants' offense to thrive next season. He has to be the main communicator and establish the tone up front, but he is also the shortest line to the quarterback. And typically it all caves in when the center position is not strong enough. Schmitz came out of the 2023 draft as one of the top 2 prospects in his position, and the Giants invested a decently high selection in him. He needs to return to the elite blocking they saw on his tape at Minnesota and give the team a staple name at the most critical spot on the offensive line, which they've lacked since David Deal's days. David Deal wasn't the center. I don't know where they came from that, but anyway, Not that position will become a serious need that the Giants must tackle before the calendar reaches this time next year once they lock down the guard and tackle positions. So, I mean, yeah, that's one thing. Like Shane says quite a bit, and you hear talk that floated around out there a lot of times is, by the third season, that's what the person's going to be. Right. The first season they're learning, second season they're learning, but usually, for the most part, right. Once they get to that third season, whatever they're, that's their ceiling. They're not going any higher. So let's see what he is. I mean, he's smart. I'm sure he's a great teammate, good communicator, all that stuff and everything. But I can be smart. I can be a good communicator and all that stuff, and everybody put me in at center, and we're in a lot of trouble, right? So, he's got to get stronger. So let's see what he does this year. If he struggles once again this season, Giants might be on the lookout once again, maybe for another center. But let's give him another season. All right, now this one, I like this one. This one is one of those ones that get you all excited. I mean, you cannot have too many edge rushers, boy. I'll tell you. Get those NASCAR packages that the Giants had in like for Super Bowl 42 and 46. You had just like one pass rusher. You had OC, right, and Justin Tuck, and you had Michael Strahan, right. Then you had OC and JPP, right, and Tuck. So we always had like at least three real good dynamic not edge rushers, but I mean guys who can rush. Real good, guys can get pressure. I mean, let's not forget about sexy too, right? I mean, man, if you could you get Kayvon, you get Burnsy, you get Carter, you get Sexy Dexy, woo, baby, woo, right? Then we got Golston too, right? I think Aziz is probably better than Golston as a pass rusher and all. But the problem is that, with us anyway, Aziz was always getting injured. Let's see what Aziz winds up doing with the Eagles. If he wind up staying healthy, right? But I mean, if we, man, I don't know if you're going to call him Micah Parsons 2.0 or something like that, but man, that might be that gets you all excited. Because I remember back in the 80s when the Giants were a good team with Parcells. I didn't want to. I hated when our offense was on the field. I wanted our defense on the field. I wanted to see us just rush in there, hit the quarterback, sack, tackle, intimidate the other team. That's what I liked. You know what I mean? And this can almost get you all fired up when the defense is on the man. I mean, my goodness. I mean, if you wind up, with our secondary. Should be pretty decent, but boy, you get these guys on the field, man. Whew. Wow. Well, the other thing too is, with Carter, right? I mean, you got these guys rotating in, right? So I mean, if Kayvon's injured or somebody else is injured, but if somebody else needs a breather, you bring Carter in off the side. Like you ain't losing nothing, right? Like Carter because he can read the field and good against the run. Yeah. Oh yeah. Aziz will be a Hall of Famer. That's the same thing with Saquon. He'll be a Hall of Famer. Saquon will wind up with like 27,000 yards rushing, 52 Super Bowl trophies, and he'll be a Hall of Famer with the Eagles. Same thing with wouldn't it be a kicker? This year, Aziz gets like 27 sacks and breaks the NFL sack record over Michael Strahan. You can see that. Of course you could. And, of course, then Aziz will go on to Pro Bowl, All-Pro, Hall of Fame. Oh, yeah. I can see that. Yep. Unbelievable. All right. But the Giants apparently met privately with Abdul Carter. Giants will reportedly meet with Penn State edge rusher Abdul Carter after the Nittany Lion Pro Day on Friday. So it just happened, right? Penn State defensive end / linebacker Abdul Carter will meet with the Giants privately in State College today. I guess this means that was yesterday. So it was Friday after the Nittany Lions Pro Day workout. Carter isn't working out as he continues to rehab from his shoulder. Carter had dinner with the Browns brass last night. New York is his only meeting today. Very cool. Because, he ain't getting very far. Obviously, other teams can certainly talk to him, especially the teams. Hey, if they're like, yo, we love this guy. Let's trade up and get him. Let's trade up to number 3. So that would be a bit much for other teams that trade up and maybe get him, but he's not falling that far. Right. He might just fall right to the Giants. Carter could go anywhere in the first hour of the draft. Tennessee Titans can take him the first overall pick, but they are likely to select Cam Ward. After Ward's stellar pro day performance last week, now I'll tell you, to be honest with you, just what you hear, right? If Ward falls to the Giants, I'm sure they're going to take him. I'd be shocked if they let him go. Cleveland is more likely landing spot for Carter, and the Browns have shown an exceptional interest in him. Either way, the Giants are in the line for a possible generational player with the third pick, whether it be Ward, Carter, or Hunter, the two-way threat for Colorado. Absolutely. Let's see here. The Giants are one of 4 teams who will host a visit with the Penn State edge rusher Abdul Carter. Giants are slightly less likely to draft a quarterback in the wake of their second quarterback signing of the offseason, taking Russell Wilson. Let's see. Subsequently, some Giant fans have turned their attention to Colorado receiver / cornerback Travis Hunter and Penn State edge rusher Abdul Carter. I'm fine with either of them. I will sleep like a baby that night. Let me tell you what. Right? Both have strong cases to be the first pick in the 2025 NFL draft, and at the very least will battle to be the first non-quarterback taken. Absolutely. New York at number 3 will be in the running for either prospect, and presumably Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders, assuming the Titans take Cam Ward. As Carter jostles for April positioning, the Giants draft target made a bold decision regarding his top 30 visits. Carter has 30 visits set up in the coming weeks with the Giants and Patriots, per sources. Albert Breer reported. He's already made the trips to do 30 visits with the Titans and the Browns. Confident he'll go top 4, as well he should. I'm told those are the only 4 teams that the Penn State star plans to visit. Can't blame the dude. Carter is, in a word, confident as one of the 2 blue-chip prospects in the class. Carter has several factors working in his favor. With 12 sacks and a conference-leading 24 tackles for loss last season, his production matches the best pass-rushing film in this class. Carter hasn't tested during the pre-draft process as he rehabs from his shoulder injury and contemplates treatment for a nagging foot ailment. But he's clearly an elite athlete. With a blend of film, pedigree, and raw traits at a high-value position, his stock is unquestionably high. As such, it remains possible that the Titans take him first overall, and each team in its top 4 has a good reason to draft him. Cleveland pairing Carter with edge rusher Myles Garrett, you got that right, might produce the best defensive line duo in the sport. The Patriots picking after the Giants are in need of a top-flight edge rusher. The Giants, of course, have edge rushers Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau, locked in starting roles. But if Hunter is off the board and they don't love Shedeur Sanders, adding Carter as a third edge rusher, my goodness, would be unbelievable. Love it. Let's see. Has an encouraging short and long-term prospects. Now, the thing is that, as things stand, he may be the least likely of the top prospects to land in East Rutherford. However, Carter's profile is strong enough for fans to be all in on an imperfect fit. But the thing is, it's kind of, then of course, all this stuff gets thrown around. Well, what's going on with Kayvon? I see these articles, Giants might trade Kayvon, and so, it's kind of, you have to do some thinking, right? The Giants going to pick up Kayvon's 5th-year option, whatever that would be, $15 million or something like that, right? Because they have to pick it up, but for next season, right? Because like next season it'd be whatever 15 or something. Then you got Burnsy making almost $30 million. Then you have Carter making about $8 million. You have three guys, three edge rushers, defensive end. I mean, unless they can find Carter, linebacker / defensive end, edge. You know, I mean, unless Bowen could find some place for him to be on the field all the time, which would make sense. And you draft the dude number 3. You don't want him on the sideline drinking Kool-Aid 50% of the time. You want the dude on the field. So be interesting to see. But man, I'll tell you, I mean, especially if you got the 4 guys on the field at the same time. Right, you got I said sexy, right? Carter, Kayvon, and Burnsy. Whew, man, that'd be sweet. That would be a sweet foursome right there. I mean, that's what you can't have too many edge rushers. Or if somebody, like what happened last year, right? Remember, Kayvon got injured, right? Kayvon goes off, gets injured. Well, enters Mr. Carter. Now you still got 3 guys who can rush the quarterback at all times, right? You got sexy, you got Burnsy, and then you got Carter, right? But, I mean, if the Giants want to take in either Hunter or Carter, right, they need guys who can, perform and get results now. Not like, well, we'll bring them in and we'll develop them, and in a couple of years we'll get some. I mean, they may not be around, Shane and Dale, you know what I mean? So, and it's not very often you can say you got yourself like last year, you got yourself a freaking stud, right? Getting studs back-to-back draft. I mean, we got Malik and whoever, if you can get Carter or Hunter this year, really nice. Really, really nice. All right, let's see here. Oh, okay. And then we got, now I seen this here. This is good old, a lot of incentives, whole lot of incentives, right? So, and one of them, it's good. I like one of them. It's good. No, Emergy. Emergy's in the house. One of them is, wins. Good. Yo, we get some wins. You get some money. How's that sound? I like that. Right? I'm going to find it here. All right, here we go. NFL fans roast Russell Wilson for the new corny 3-word slogan for the Giants. So what's up, guys? Oh, he's got all kinds. He's got all kinds of slogans. All kinds of slogans. Oh my goodness! I got to find his. Yep, hold on there. There we go. All right. Russell Wilson's complete contract details after signing with the Giants. A lot of incentives here. Giants signed Russell Wilson to a 1-year deal earlier this week, adding to an already interesting quarterback room. That's I'll tell you what. Jameson Winston is an interesting character. Yes, he is. But he's positive, right? He's a good teammate. So I'm all for it. Wilson immediately made his presence felt in New York, showing up courtside at a Knicks game and debut a new catchphrase. Wilson, who made the Pro Bowl as a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers last season, expects to be the starter in New York. And wide receiver Malik Neighbors seems excited about catching passes from the 36-year-old quarterback. Sports Illustrated Albert Breer has all the details of Wilson's deal with his new team. Russell Wilson has a 1-year, $10.5 million deal, includes $8 million signing bonus, $2 million fully guaranteed, and a $500,000 workout bonus. So basically, that's just $10.5 million. Then there are a ton of incentives for performance and playing time. Wilson can make up to $2.5 million in playtime incentives. If he plays 65% of the snaps, he'll get $500,000. He'll get an extra $1 million if he plays 75% of the snaps, and an extra $1.5 million for 85% of the snaps. Contract also includes up to $2.5 million in performance incentives. He'll get $500,000 if he has a passer rating above 96 and $500,000 for a 64% completion percentage. That's very doable. He also is able to earn an extra $500,000 if he throws 20 plus touchdowns. Which, John, I don't. When was the last time we had 20 plus touchdowns from a quarter? I don't even know. I mean, well, I can tell you, Daniel Jones, his rookie season, right? He had 24 touchdown passes his rookie season in only 12 games. He started 12 games and threw 24 touchdown passes. Anyway, okay, he's also able to earn $500,000 if he throws 20 plus touchdowns and has a passer rating over 88. Then another $250,000 if he throws 30 plus touchdowns with a passer rating over 88. He can also earn $500,000 if he throws for over 2,500 yards with a passer rating over 88. So a lot of stuff. And we're talking 2,500 yards. That's very doable. I mean, as long as he doesn't get injured and as long as he's a starting quarterback. I mean, if he's in there for 15, 16, 17 games, and he don't throw for 2,500 yards, we're in a lot of trouble. And yet another $250,000 if he throws for more than 3,500 yards with a passer rating of 88. So, I mean, if he throws for over 3,500 yards, he can get, with a passer rating of at least 88, he can get himself $750,000. Who also leads the Giants to the playoffs? He can earn an extra $2.5 million in playoff incentives. If he plays 55% of the snaps and the Giants make the playoffs, he'll get another $750,000. If he plays 75% of the snaps and the Giants make the playoffs, he'll get $1.5 million. If he plays 55% of the snaps and the Giants win a playoff game, he'll get an additional $500,000. A second playoff win will earn him another $500,000. Then finally, you can get up to $3 million in win incentives. This I like. For any game where he plays more than 50% of the snaps and the Giants win, he'll get an additional $176,470.59. So I like that. That I like. I mean, a lot of times you don't necessarily see something like that, but hey, you get us some wins, we'll give you some money, brother. Have you take us to the playoffs? I'm not sure, that's going to happen, but so there's all kinds of stuff. Right? Basically he's getting this $10.5 million, basically, and he can pretty much double that with incentives. Now, obviously, it's almost very difficult. There's a lot of incentives there. It's not like there's just one or two or whatever. There's a lot of incentives there. So basically, for him to go from $10.5 million to his full $21 million, it'd be very, very difficult. But there's a lot of things there, well worth it. Well within his reach, shall I say. Now, the one would be, of course, the money for the wins. Now, I mean, I think for him to collect, where are we at here? He can get up another $3 million in win incentives. All right, so basically, I mean, for him to get the $3 million in win incentives, the total $3 million in win, he's going to have to win every football game. I mean, I don't think that's happening. Not for the New York Giants. Like how we won 3 games and have the hardest guy. Oh man, I tell you, you look at that, it's like, holy crap, man. We got it. I don't want to say winnable games, but we got some of the road games. We got some easier teams or whatever. Boy, I tell you, man, you look at this, our home games, it's like, my goodness. It's like, we got 8 home games. 6 of the 8 home games, I think the teams made the playoffs. The one, I think it was the 49ers, I think. And they had some injuries last year, but I mean, they went to the Super Bowl the year before. They went to the championship game 2 years. I mean, so they had some injuries. They had an off season. But I mean, they could, with Shanahan as a coach, I'm sure they'll be bouncing back. And I said, and then the other team I think that didn't make the playoffs that the Giants are going to play at home is the Cowboys. And it's like a home away from home for the Cowboys. Cowboys have 2 home stadiums, Dallas Stadium, Cowboys, and MetLife Stadium. Those are home away home. they roll into one of those stadiums and they feel like they're going to win because it's a home game. You know what I mean? So, home games. I mean, the Giants are tough. It's amazing. And if you look, it's like the Eagles seem like have that one of the easiest schedules. It's like I don't understand this. I can't even talk. I can't stand that team. I just absolutely totally despise them. I have no idea how the Eagles wind up with such an easy schedule, and how the Giants wind up basically pretty much the hardest schedule in all football. They're one of the worst teams, and they got like the hardest schedule in all football. It's unbelievable. All right, where we at here? Okay, here we go. I got this one here. Now, this one seems to match up not too bad for the Giants. Now, the one thing, you can kind of maybe say about this one here, how the Giants, what they need on their roster, how does that stack up? Like, we need a defensive tackle, right? Well, it's a good class for that, right? So how are our needs, what we need, is it good picking in the draft, or is it some slim pickings, right? Now, the one thing obviously would be a quarterback. This is not a, there ain't no Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, John Elway, kind of, easy where Giants can pluck one of those quarterbacks. There are a lot of quarterbacks. Maybe one of them might wind up being okay, maybe down the future, with some good coaching or something. But it's not a super duper phenomenal quarterback class. But the Giants do have obviously other needs than quarterback, right? And it's not a bad class for that. So how the Giants draft needs stack up to the strengths in this draft class? The 2025 NFL draft class has depth at several positions of need for the New York Giants. And I'll tell you what, it's like if the Giants are really lacking in an area, never hurts to double dip. If you can go in there and get yourself maybe a starter or something like that, and then double dip and get another, never hurt. With the 2025 NFL draft class less than a month away and pro days wrapping up, more analysts and teams are starting to finalize their big boards and determine where they can potentially grab talent to fill in any remaining needs not covered by free agency. Mason Cameron of Pro Football Focus recently released a report card ranking the depth quality of each position group. For the New York Giants, there is good news and bad news. The good news, right, is that this class is deep at positions that remain a glaring need for the Giants. These include offensive tackle. It all depends. Because the Giants have a Luminor for this season. Certainly could bring him back for next season, but it would not be bad, if it all depends. You don't know what they plan on doing with Evan Neal. I'd love to see him try to guy guard, but you don't know. But the Giants could certainly use maybe a nice tackle. That's for sure. They got edge defender. That I guess PFF gives this draft class. They're edge defenders. They give this draft class an A+. This tackle class, they give them a B-. Right? And the interior defensive line, yes, they give this draft class an A-. They need somebody next to sexy. They've got some depth. They brought in some depth pieces and all that stuff. And they don't have somebody. I'm not saying we need somebody next with the starting caliber of sexy Dexy, although I wouldn't mind that. But they need somebody that can put in there, right, and right next to sexy, right, who can relieve some of his pressure. That would be phenomenal. But though the Giants have signed 2 veteran offensive tackles in free agency, James Hudson III and Stone Forsythe, both swing tackles, who really haven't graded out very well. Hudson is signed for 2 years and Forsythe for 1. When one also considers that Jermaine Illuminor is entering his final season of his contract, it would not be a stretch to have the Giants grabbing an offensive tackle in the draft who can be groomed for a future starting role at right tackle. And just once again, it's why it's so important to hit on your draft picks. right? Because we drafted tackle a couple years ago, and the guy can't play tackle, right? I mean, it's not very often in the history of the NFL, right, where you can literally say, you add up the two, a team's starting offensive tackles, right? You add up their draft position and it come up with an 11. That don't happen very often. Not very often do you have 2 first-round picks at tackles. Not often do you have 2 top 7 picks at tackle. Well, the Giants got 2. Well, they hit one out of the park with Andrew Thomas, although we're not sure if he'll ever be able to stay healthy ever again. But they drafted Evan Neal at number 7, and we're not even sure if he can even play guard. We don't even, that's why it's so important to hit on your freaking draft picks. Right? We shouldn't have to be wondering, we need another No, we shouldn't. Shouldn't. Because we drafted Andrew Thomas and we drafted Evan Neal. We should have our tackles. We don't. Right? So now we might have to go back into the draft again. Or maybe they can, that's something that they could worry about maybe next season if they don't bring Illuminor back. You don't know. Once again, you don't know. But I mean, next season might be, let's get a right tackle, right? They have some money to spend, right, for next season. Maybe we can get one in free agency, or maybe we can draft one. Maybe they may, they don't need that this season. But if this is a good class for tackles and you want to take BPA, best player available, ta-da, right? Although the one thing the Giants have not really done much of, right, is like taking somebody in the 3rd round, 4th, whatever, and they're not a starter on the offensive line, and they develop them. It just doesn't seem developing offensive line and New York Giants, that's like oil and water. It just doesn't happen. When do we draft offensive linemen and we'll put them on the shelf for a year or two, and when we need them, we'll put them out there and they'll be good. That doesn't happen. We draft them, we bring them in, and we put them in there. It's like they're either good or they suck. They suck with us anyway. They stay sucky. If they're good, okay. But I mean, although last season, okay, maybe the Carmen Brasilia's, maybe to his credit, Evan Neal was our leading run blocker. I think great out. I think it was an 80. Of course, he can't pass. He can't pass. But that's a tackle, not a guard. But he was our best run blocker. So maybe we are developing. Maybe. Don't know. Don't the Giants have 5 picks? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah. Basically 5 of the top 100 picks. Yep. Oh, that would be fantastic if we get it on them. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. That would really, really be good. Let's see here. Though they added veteran depth at the defensive line, if they can secure the services of a good young 3 technique, right, to line up alongside Sexy Dexy, that would be the cherry on the cake for the defensive line's upgrade. You got that right. Absolutely. Meanwhile, at edge rusher, the Giants seemed set on Kayvon, whose 5th-year option is expected to be exercised, and Brian Burns. They've added Chauncey Golston, who can serve as a stand-up rusher. The Giants would add someone like Abdul Carter. Oh, yeah, right? That would allow the coaches to get more creative with their pass rush packages, right? And shave some of the heavy workloads off of Burns and Kayvon's plate to help keep them fresh as the season grinds on. Absolutely. Giants can also use more depth at running back. Yes. You don't got to, was it named Genty or whatever the guy from, was it Boise State? You don't got to grab him. But, you can certainly, grab a running back and pick 105 or something like that. Right? Let's see. They can luck out there if they want to grab a young player who can play a limited role to start, only to move into the running back 2 role behind starter Tyrone Tracy Jr. That young player will replace Devin Singletary, who's set to collect the last of his guaranteed money this coming season. Of course, the bad news for the Giants regarding this draft class comes of what General Manager Joe Schoen has called the most important position in all of sports, period, on a football team, quarterback. But there's hope next season. But we don't know if Shane and Dave will be here next season, right? That position group was given a C-. So the quarterback group for this season was given a C-. I don't know what it was graded last season, but apparently, obviously, the group last season was graded out far better than this group here. So last season, I'm guessing the group last season by PFF anyway was graded out probably at least a B. So this year's quarterback class group was given a C- with Miami's Cam Ward seemingly the undisputed top player in that group. Ward is largely believed to be the first player to come off the board next month, and his path will take him to the Titans, and I can't blame them one frickin' bit. Then there was Colorado's, obviously, Shedeur Sanders. In his assessment, Cameron expresses more concerns for Sanders' limited athleticism and lack of an elite arm as the main reason for Sanders' stock having leveled out. As for the rest of the class, Cameron doesn't paint the rosiest of pictures. Further down the board, we see a myriad of passers with varying skill sets who haven't moved the needle much during the pre-draft process. Usually, you get somebody, like McCarthy, like last season. Boy, he moved that needle, didn't he? I don't know where he was supposed to be, like a third-round pick or somewhere along the line last year, and then all of a sudden we're talking about him being like a top 10. He moved the needle. A lot of times you get these quarterbacks, especially in their pro days or the combine, they do something spectacular, or maybe the Senior Bowl or something like that. They do really start setting themselves apart from the other, and their stock starts rising. Well, maybe Jackson Dart is the one I'm kind of hearing maybe the most. So we'll have to wait and see. But some believe that Jackson Dart also possesses traits to build upon that could warrant a first-round selection after he finished as the top-graded passer in several of, I don't know what that means, but the Giants agree with Cameron's assessment of the quarterback class beyond Ward and Sanders. That could potentially mean the Giants might be planning on a day 2 prospect. Or maybe Dirt will might still be on the board, maybe. I don't know if he makes it to round 2, but we'll have to wait and see. It's been reported that the Giants like Dart, but whether they like him enough to move heaven and earth to select him is another story. Quarterback aside, the Giants should be able to tap into the strengths of this year's draft class to add more talent to those position groups that currently lack it. So, the Giants need, obviously, they could use a tackle. Dart's moving the needle. Yes. He's the one, if any of them, that has kind of moved the needle. Now, I don't know if, how far, I'd be kind of shocked if he makes it out of the first round. We'll have to wait and see. I heard like Milroe, it maybe obviously hasn't moved the needle enough, but I heard he possibly maybe has some potential to him. So it's going to be very interesting to see. Now we're going to be going over quarterbacks in a moment here or two. No, not yet, but in a few minutes we're going to be going over the quarterback position. So it's going to be very interesting to see, because a lot of these guys where they're ranked as far as PFF, they got them like maybe in the third round or the second, third round, and all of that. And so it'd be interesting to see where they actually do fall in the draft. But the Giants, they've been very busy. Look over this article here. They've been very busy. I can't remember what the number was. I think they were the third highest spenders in free agency so far, anyway, as far as contracts given out. I think the Patriots were number 1. I can't remember who was number 2, but the Giants, I think, were number 3. Right, obviously with well, Wilson's 20 million, but with Debo, right, Holland, and they brought in a plethora of guys. Yeah, so they've been busy. Actually, they've gone out and they've actually brought back some guys. Right, so let's see. Right, so I mean, we brought in a ton of guys. A lot of these guys are really good special teamers. So the guys that maybe aren't like stars, but are very good special teamers. Now, of course, we're going to go back in time here. Start in the present and go back, right? So March 26th, obviously they signed Russell Wilson. And then they got Deontay Johnson. They re-signed him, right? He's the guy. He looked somewhat promising last season in training camp and all. Got injured in preseason and managed to make it back on thankfully he came back. He made it back for the final 2 games of the season, but he did very well on special teams. He did very well in the final game against the Eagles. He had a lot of tackles and not a lot of snaps, but this is what PFF, he didn't grade out very well, but he had a lot of tackles, right? But then again, they were going up against the Eagles backups. So, but they brought back Deontay Johnson. Once again, he was doing very well in training camp last year. And once again, good on special teams, and he's cheap, right? Then March 25th, they brought back Aaron Stinney, right? Now, they got a lot of offensive linemen. Obviously, they're not all going to make the team, not all going to make the roster. Some of them will get put on the practice squad. You can only want to put so many offensive linemen on the practice squad. So some of these guys they got in like fourth sight. He may not even make the team, right? But so they brought back Aaron Stinney, Zach Pascal, right, the wide receiver. March 21st, they are Jameson Winston, right? I like it. They got him for 2 years, right? I like it, right? I mean, I said if the Giants were in need of a quarterback to get him to the Super Bowl, I'd be a little because he's very generous with the ball, right? He's very generous with the ball with our team, and he's very generous with the ball with the other team, right? So he may not be the exact quarterback you want to take you to a Super Bowl. Can he get you to the playoff and say win 3 games in your division and then win the Super Bowl? I don't think so, because he's just as wild as he is. I think one of those games he'll wind up screwing up for you before you actually win the Super Bowl, something like that. But to have him as a backup, we're not a very good team, we're an up and coming team, and all that stuff. I absolutely love Jameson Winston. It's cheap, $4 million a season. Absolutely, I love it. Then we got not big, but little Jordan Humphrey, right, wide receiver. Dimukeji, the linebacker, Victor. March 19th, we brought back GVR. Cool. I'll tell you, if he plays once again every snap on our offenses, that would be fantastic. Guys, was he 34? Was 1,125 snaps he played last year. So, and he didn't do too bad, especially for the amount that he got paid, right? But we do need to find somebody to take his place, maybe Evan Neal, because we can't keep bringing back a 35-year-old GVR every year, right? Somewhere along the line, we're going to need a right guard. Somewhere along the line, we're going to need a right tackle, too. March 18th, Jeremiah Ledbetter. March 17th, we brought Demetrius Flanagan-Foles, linebacker. He was, I believe he's very, very good on special teams. March 13th, we brought some guy, Paulson and Debo. I mean, fantastic. Javon Holland, right? So, I mean, I'll tell you, our secondary should be much improved this year. Should be much improved. Especially taking Banks from having to have him depend upon him. There you go. I knew I can get it out on the number 1 receiver and moving him over to the, whatever you want to call it, the weaker side, the number 2 receiver. That should certainly help. and also see if it lights a fire under the guy's butt, because he's been demoted. Right? We had to go. We drafted him. We traded up to draft him to get him in the first round, and here it is 2 years later. We're replacing him. So that'll show you what a guy's made of. Right? So we're going to be interested to see what Mr. Banks decides to do this year. Right? Of course, we brought back Darius Slayton. I love that. Darius can be on my team. All blah 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 blah, all that stuff. Oh no, number 2. Okay. So I think what I saw. I think the Patriots were 1. I guess the Vikings are 2. I think the Giants were 3. So I know we've spent a lot. So, but with Darius, I'm happy as heck. But we still need. It's not like oh, now we got 3 weapons out there. Yeah, we got Malik, we got Wanda. Slayton's got some speed, but he's not somebody you're going to complete 9 balls a game to or something like that. That's not happening, right? I'm so happy we brought him back. We drafted him. He's been a fantastic play, a teammate, but all that stuff and everything. But we need another really good weapon out there. And Slade's a fine addition. I'm happy we got him. But I'd love to see us grab another really good weapon, like maybe if Hunter falls to us. That'd be fantastic. So we got Slayton. We got Chauncey Golston. Of course, we lost Aziz, but we got Golston in here. Was it 3 years, $19.5 million? I think it was. He got to get some pressure. His pressure win rate, I think, was really good last year. So, we should have 3 really decent edge rushers and defensive ends, edge rushers, whatever I'm saying. We could get a Carter, and Dexy in there. Whew, wow. Chris Board, okay, linebacker, nothing super duper phenomenal, but special teams, very good. James Hudson, the third, right? He's the swing tackle, right? Never graded out super duper well, but he's a swing tackle. He can play right and left, right? Then we got Stone Forsythe, right? Once again, another swing tackle. Did not grade out super duper phenomenal either, but he can play right and left. Emir Smith-Marset, fantastic. Love it. Now you're not sure, is he going to be the punt and kickoff returner? We'll have to wait and see. But, he brought one back to the house last year. So I think it was a real good signing. Real good signing for him. Roy Robertson Harris, the defensive tackle. March 8th, Tommy Chicken Cutler Parmesan. So that was our first quarterback on the roster, because for a period of time there, we had no quarterbacks. And I like that too, because, this will be his 3rd season under the same offense, right? He's thrown the ball to these receivers. He's had the ball snapped to him from John Michael Schmitz. He's played behind his offensive line. He knows the coach. He knows the offensive system and all that. Not saying he's Tom Brady or nothing like that, but he's won some football games too. So cheap and familiarity and all of that. And if you need to put him in there, he can perform for you. Brought back the Scottish Hammer. Really, I'm happy for this, man. I'm really, really happy for this. Maybe he's not the greatest kicker in all football, but what are you going to do? Let him go and try to find somebody that's going to be better. I'm good. Bring the dude back. I'm really happy for that. Really, really happy. Chris Manhertz, good pick. Good sign and re-signed him. Once again, on the cheap. He's not going to get you much as far as offensive statistics, but big dude. You can put him in there, a very good run blocker. So once again, a good signing. Our tight end, it's not room or whatever. It's not super spectacular, but we brought back Toman Fox. He was one of the first guys we brought. Casey Kreider, we keep bringing him back every year on a 1-year deal. So once again, there's another good sign in here for the Giants. So brought back a lot. Obviously, we still got a lot of holes still on the roster. Right? We don't have obviously 90 guys yet and all that, but we brought back a lot of guys. The receivers for the moon ball, for the moon ball. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Well, yeah, a couple of guys we signed, tall guys. So yeah, we're roster's filling out. It's filling out there. All right, and all right, here we go. All right, I got two more things here. Got to find this here. So if the Giants, they were to trade, sort of this article, if there's the Giants, found somebody or wanted to trade up to number 3 and the Giants would have moved back, right? Three trade down candidates for the Giants. Now, like this guy here, this is somebody, if we move back a couple slots or something like that, this guy right here may not be bad to think about because you put him right next to Sexy, right? Mr. Graham here, right? So now, of course, it depends upon also how far back the Giants, for whatever, would have moved back to number 13. Well, this guy's not going to be here. They move back to number 12 or whatever, something like that, for whatever reason. Some of these other guys you're talking about aren't going to be here. But, there are some guys, obviously, there's tackles, right? There's cornerbacks there. There's, he keeps talking about, is it McMillan? I think McMillan from Arizona, right? All right, let me get here. Is this it? All right, so we got here 3. Giants could target 3 prospects in the top 10. Giants aren't necessarily looking to trade down, but who might they target in the top 10 if they found a partner? Giants are more likely to stay put and draft either a quarterback or Travis Hunter, or maybe get Carter, right? But there's a world in which the Giants trade down. You never know. I mean, if the Giants could use some extra picks or so. I mean, especially if you trade into the top 3 or so, that's a premium. That's a premium. You should get a nice return on that. Maybe the Jets send a Godfather offer for Hunter or his quarterback Shedeur Sanders, or the Raiders want to double down at quarterback, where General Manager Joe Schoen is set on loading up on picks. Oh, well, which is possible for the 2026 class next season, right? Whatever the reason or the team, Schoen may find a trade partner, especially in the top 10. Well, that's you figure. I think that the Raiders are. I think they're number 9, right? Let's see what we got here. With so much attention spent on Hunter, the quarterback, and edge rusher Abdul Carter, it's worth examining the next tier of targets. Giants could target these 3 prospects and trade down with the top 10 within the top 10 picks. First one to talk about is Michigan defensive tackle Mason Graham. Plug and play, put him right next to Sexy Dexy. You have yourself a fab 4 right there with Graham, Sexy Dexy, Kayvon, and Burns. It's a nice foursome, real nice foursome. There's a dark horse to sneak into the draft's top 4 picks. It's Graham. Billed as an elite defensive tackle prospect, Graham came in a bit smaller than advertised during the pre-draft process, but is a blend of production, athleticism, and film that some teams will fall in love with. Well, I'm not sure what they're talking about as far as came in a bit small. He's 6'3", 320 pounds. I don't know. They thought he was 6'5". I don't know. They thought he was 340 pounds or something. I don't know. But here, I'm just what PFF has him at 6'3". Right? You look at Elijah Chapman. I mean, what the heck was he? Right? He's what, 5'11", 5'10", or something like that. So let's see. For New York, the argument is simple. Defensive tackle Sexy Dexy needs a running mate, and pairing him with a high pedigree tackle prospect is a quick route to an elite defensive line. This achieves a similar goal to drafting Carter and allows the Giants to add draft capital in the process. Now, the next one, this one would be very interesting. They would take the Michigan cornerback, Will Johnson. This would be, I'll tell you what, boy. You'd have some cornerbacks. Whew. Wow. You shouldn't have to worry about cornerback position for a few years. You took Will Johnson. Hunter doesn't have many detractors, but those who are hesitant to spend a top 3 pick on him will argue that he isn't the best receiver or corner in the class. A debatable assertion in its own right. But if Hunter isn't the best corner in the draft, Johnson is. Graham's teammate at Michigan, Johnson has been a top 15 pick throughout the cycle. He's a physical and fluid, and while his speed might not qualify as elite, he makes up for it with good processing and ball skills. Drafting a corner in round 1 would complete the starting secondary and let Deonte Banks take a smaller role rather than hoping to improve on the fly in year 3. So, I mean, you had Phillips, you had Johnson, you had Debo, and then in the safeties, you got Newman and you got Holland. Woo! And then you got Banks trying to work his way on the field. Wow. That would be nice. That would really, really be nice. Okay, then the last one they talk about here, which once we talked about before, which, I mean, obviously, this is, they brought in a couple of, right, the tackles, right, swing tackles. But they're swing tackles. Neither one is an elite tackle, but they can play both right and left. Now, we realize that possibly they might bring back, Illuminor, possibly next season. We don't know. But if you can get yourself a young stud, now you got Andrew Thomas. Once again, if you don't know if the guy's ever going to be able to stay healthy ever again, you don't know. But, he's your left tackle. We are going to need a right guard and a right tackle eventually, right? And here they talk about Missouri offensive tackle Armand Membo. Given how New York's offensive line performed in its first third of the season and the depth Shane added in March, the offensive line isn't in urgent need. However, a long-term tackle opposite of Andrew Thomas isn't necessarily on the roster. No, it's not. A Membo selection, would allow right guard Greg Van Roten to start over John Michael Schmitz at center, with Illuminor kicking inside and rookie starting from the jump, meaning the Giants could start the best 5 offensive linemen. So let's not forget, when Schmitz was injured last season for a couple games, GVR swung into center. With elite athleticism, a dense frame, and flashes of high-level pass protection, New York stands to benefit from improving its supporting cast while preparing to draft a quarterback in 2026. So, there are, and I said, we have good receivers. If we look here, let me see, what do we got here? Here we go. Okay. All right, now it's also, not forget. Now, PFF has McMillan from Arizona is like their number 3 overall player, right? They got Hunter number 1, Carter number 2, and a McMillan wide receiver. Now, would he bet if the Giants were to move back a couple spots? Would the Giants think about maybe taking him? Then PFF has Graham, the defensive tackle, number 4. Said that would be fantastic. I said, whatever the Giants do, it may be in the first round. If they don't take a defensive tackle, which they quite possibly won't, I would love to see them take a defensive tackle in the second round or something. Get somebody who's, good. Said Graham is number 4. Then they got the runner Ashton Genty, I believe it is, from Boise State. That dude's a beast, right? Will Campbell, the tackle from LSU, is their 6th rated guy. Barron is a cornerback from Texas. He's their 7th rated guy. The tight end, Warren, from Penn State. Starks, we're not drafting a safety. They got Campbell. a linebacker from Alabama is number 10. Then they got Membo, whatever, from the tackle from Missouri is their 11th rated guy. Then they got Green from Marshall, who's another edge rusher. Will Johnson, right? So it depends also on how far back do the Giants fall to if they were to trade back, right? Because the Giants would also pick up draft picks. Now the thing is, the Giants would have fall back. Maybe they want to picking up they move back to whatever. Let's see. Is that it? There we go. All right. So the Giants would have moved back. Say to move back to number 9, right? Say Sanders is there at 3. The Saints come a calling. Yo, we want Sanders, or what? You want to trade with us? If the Giants aren't enamored with Sanders, they move back to 9, take Saints pick, right? Now the Saints would owe the Giants about another 1,000 points. So the Saints would have to give up at least 2 seconds, or maybe next year's first round pick. This first, and the Saints got maybe this year's first, this year's second, and maybe next year's second or something, whatever like that. So the Giants maybe can pick up, an additional second round pick this year. That wouldn't be bad. Move back to number 9 and grab one of those players. As I said, on the top board for PFF, they got we need there's a wide receiver, McMillan's there, right? But there's edge rushers there, there's defensive tackles there, there's cornerbacks there, there's defensive linemen there. So there are guys. So the Giants would have moved back. There are guys the Giants can certainly take, and really, really help. I said, we really could use a tackle. Maybe not this year, but not this year. Next year, we're going to probably need a tackle. Right. So there are guys the Giants could trade back for. Once again, it takes 2 to tango, and all the things you kind of hear about Sanders is is there a team that's going to if he's available. Right. I don't know if somebody's going to want to trade up to number 3 to get Carter. Maybe. Maybe. Who knows? You don't know. But is somebody like the Saints going to want to trade from number 9 up to number 3 to grab Sanders or something like that? You don't know. You don't know if it is worth it or not. But this brings me up to my last point right here. All right. Of course, I got to find it. Now, one of the things, the Giants are in a really good position here. If like to trade back into one of those rounds, back into the first round, back into the second round, back into the third round, what would it take the Giants? Right, the Giants they're in a pretty good position here to really do that. Especially if you also think about maybe they could one of their picks from maybe next season, right? Because don't forget we got 2 third-round picks. Right, so without question, the Giants definitely are, could do something like that. So let me once again here share the screen, pop this baby up here, and we'll share this here. Man, boom, there we go. All right, so the Giants they're in pretty good position here because you figure, right, to jump back into the first round. Okay, so right here, right, the Giants between their pick 34 and their pick 65, because let's not forget, it winds up going 3-2-1. They got the third pick in the first round. They got the second pick in the second round. Then they got the first pick in the third round, right? So if the Giants wanted to jump, and let's not forget about this other third round pick the Giants have, right? So it's all highlighted in green here. It's worth 100 points, right? So they got 100 there. So between that and that, it's 370. 370, so they got 900, if my math is correct, which usually it's not. They have 930. If they wanted to jump back into the first round, right, and give up, say, their second and their 2/3, they have like a little over 900 points, right? Now, where could they jump back in at? 900, right? Right. I mean, if they wanted to do something like that, or what they could do is they could trade up, or they could trade, right? They could trade this pick There we go, right? They can pay 34 and 65, and that would give them a little over 800 points. Right? 825, is that right? That would give them they pick 34 and 65. We give them 825 points. Now, what they could do, right, with the 825 points, they could jump up here and try to maybe trade with Denver. If one of those, maybe if Dart was there. I don't know if Sanders is going to fall that far, but maybe if Dart, who knows, was there. They could trade those, and then they can maybe, trade maybe a next year's 5th round pick or something like that. What is this here? 29 point. Or maybe they can give, I don't know if they want to trade away a bunch of picks from this season. Say they could trade this year's 5th round pick, right? And this would probably give them enough points to move up. But, usually ones are working out where maybe they trade this year's 2nd, their 1st, 3rd round pick, and maybe a 4th or a 5th from next season or something like that. And they could jump up here. And they could trade with Denver in front of Pittsburgh, who needs a quarterback, right? So they can easily, jump into the around 20. It depends upon how high they wanted to go. Obviously, if they were going to jump, obviously much higher. If they want to jump into the teens here or something like that, obviously they're going to have to start adding some more draft capital, obviously. But they can certainly jump back to like around number 20, somewhere around that with just a couple picks and maybe one 4th or 5th rounder next season. If Dart were to fall, if they love Dart, or, as I said, I don't know if Sanders is going to go that far. But, so they got options there. Now, if they wanted to jump back into the 2nd round, right? Once again, here they got the 2 3rd-round picks, which is really helpful, right? They got 104, right? 104 points. They were picked 99, and they got this. So they got 370 points. So just say once again, right? Say they use this pickup and they use this pickup. They got between their 2 3rd-round picks. They got 370 points according to this chart, of course, right? 370. Okay, that could get them around here. But, hey, if you wanted to add in like maybe next year's 4th round, see, what is this year's 4th round pick worth? 84 points. Right? Or if you want to add in like next year's 4th round pick, they can certainly get back into the they get back into the middle of the 2nd round. If they find somebody they're in love with, absolutely. Because that's the power of that 2nd, 3rd round pick. If you want to get back into the 2nd round, you couple up the last 3rd round or the first 3rd round pick and the 4th round pick, and you can get back into the 2nd round easily, right? And then finally, if they wanted, just say they wanted to jump back into the 3rd round, well, once again, right? They take this pick here. This final pick here in the 3rd round, but if they wanted to jump up higher, right, they could take this pick here, which is worth 104 points, right, and take this one, which so basically be between the two, give them maybe about 190 points, right? And where could they jump back in at? They can jump in around maybe pick 80, somewhere around here. They can also trade another pick, a 4th or 5th rounder, maybe one from next year or so. So they could, once again, they could jump back. They could wind up with their 1st, their 2nd, their 3rd, their first 3rd round pick, which is the first pick of the 3rd round, right? So they got 3 of the top 65 picks. But as I said, if they wanted to couple up their 3rd round pick, their 2nd, 3rd round pick, and the 4th round pick, right? They can move back into the middle of the 3rd round. Somewhere around here. As I said, if they throw in another pick, maybe next year, as I said, 4th or 5th or something like that, they can jump up even higher. So they could certainly get back into the top 10, 11, 12 of the 3rd round too, if need be. The thing that I'm kind of, a little bit leery on this about, is that, the Giants have a lot of holes, If the Giants were like the Eagles, this is something the Eagles could do, because the Eagles, they have a really good roster, right? We know that. The Eagles the Eagles are looking for good quality players. The Eagles are not so much looking for a ton of depth or they're looking for really good players. So that's something the Eagles would wind up doing. You know what I mean? If the Eagles wind up with like 3 really good players out of this draft, that would really be fantastic for them. So they could do something like that. The Giants, on the other hand, have 5, right, of the top 105 picks. 5, right? And if Shane can do what he did last season, right, with the top 5 picks that we wound up having that really came out good, if he can do the same thing this season. But this year, I mean, because, we didn't have 5 of the top 105 picks last year like we do this year. So if he can do as good as he did last year with these top 5 picks, I mean, that's what the Giants need. The Giants not only need like good quality players maybe to start, but also they need some good quality depth as well. So I'm not so sure if the Giants are really in position, as I said, unless they're like in love with, say, Dart, and he may not make it out of the first round, and they're like, man, if we can get Dart. Right, we got our pick number. We took Carter at number 3. We got our impact player. Let's couple up our second round pick and our first, third round pick. Trade back in front of Pittsburgh in the first round, and let's grab Dart because we think we can work with him. Right, we think work with him within a year, 2 years or whatever. Like he can maybe take over the reins of quarterback. Right, that's a possibility. Right, but for the most part, the Giants have holes. They need depth. So I think these 5 picks would be very, very important for the Giants. So I'm not so sure if Shane's going to be moving up much, if at all, to get a bunch of another player or two. But with that extra third round pick, the Giants, it does leave them some options. They certainly could if they want to. All right, guys, it's been 1 hour and 42 minutes. Thanks, Benny G-Man. Thank you, brother. Good talking to you, pal. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Greatly appreciate it. So, whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching a replay this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Use the world to me. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants! Woo! Oh, yeah.